Hello and welcome to Non Sequitur News for January 27th, 2025. It is a time machine episode. The sentient AI is not available. So Mayor Watt, I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI, again, not available, we would normally go over 10 articles. So again, it's just me. So the 10 that we're going to talk about are drones against bears. Coca-Cola recall, historic today, gone tomorrow. $10,000 every second for 2 minutes. Born to save spiders. A surveillance bus-sized asteroid. Illegal wine. A planet of the escaped monkeys. Sacked worker sacks systems. And George R.R. Martin and the scientific paper. It's not a new book. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there and become a citizen. And yeah, I know, I see the little graphic artifact. That's actually a background that's on behind my green screen. It's from an earlier meeting. Anyway, see you on the other side. All right, folks. Again, I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown. Go over there and become a citizen. It's a news aggregator. Works kind of like this. There's six main categories. There's 50 channels underneath it. News gets aggregated into this main page, and I go through them along with the sentient AI and select 10 articles each day. During the time machine phase of this, I've got about an hour, but normally I get it done in about 35 to 40 minutes. But let's see if I can do this. I am planning on doing another episode right after this one, so hopefully y'all stick around. The articles are actually embedded in the show notes over on YouTube and not part of Omatron. At any rate, let's get into this. The very first article is over in Non Sequitur News, and it says, drones could be magic tools in fight against bears. Sentence that I never thought I'd ever say. The drone was such an asset that I couldn't imagine doing the job without it, says researcher Wesley M. Sarmento. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. The article is posted over at newsweek.com, and Jess Thompson put the article together. So, remote-controlled drones could be used to scare away bears without having to shoot at them, an expert has suggested. Yeah, right up until they get desensitized to the bears. Says this could help reduce human-wildlife conflict with grizzly bears, according to a new paper in the journal Frontiers in Conservation Science. So they got that paper in there really quick with the drone concept. Otherwise, I think Fuzzy here is going to sit there and go, I'm going to eat that drone, and I'm going to go and eat that park ranger over there because they made me deal with the drone. Human-wildlife conflict can result in harm to people and their livelihoods. One of the silliest statements I've read, and frequently ends in reduced tolerance for species and or removal of animals, said study author Wesley M. Sarmento of the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, who wrote that in their paper. I don't know, man. Times they are changing. I don't know how many of these papers are actually going to be in existence here. Grizzly bears were once widespread across most of western North America, but their range has drastically reduced due to habitat loss, hunting, and human expansion. Humans do what humans do, I suppose. Various hazing techniques were successful at stopping undesirable bear behaviors and caused a significant increase in avoidance behavior distance to human infrastructure. Overall, he found that drones performed best of any of the other hazing techniques. Drones outperformed the hazing techniques where the odds of a pursuit of a bear being possible increased 127% relative to vehicular chasing due to accessibility issues. So relative to vehicular pursuit, dogs required high maintenance and had an 86% reduction in the odds of a hazing event that would be successful relative to vehicular pursuit. So, equipped with highly maneuverable buzzing drone, they were scattering bears with accuracy and could precisely chase bears exactly where they wanted, just kind of corral them, all from the safety and comfort of their truck. Yeah, until they figure out Planet of the brown bear, and they triangulate this person and eat them in the car like so much tinned meat. Anyway, let's move on. This next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. Coca-Cola recall over safety concerns. So the company said the drinks contain higher levels of chlorate, but says the risk is very low. So you don't want your Coca-Cola to have too much chlorate. Ben King and Fareya Massoud over at BBC.com put this article together. Firm said in a statement that the recall was focused on Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. So it, for whatever reason, I guess it made it into my aggregator. So, it said it added just 5 product lines had been shipped to Britain, and they had already been sold. Affected products include Coke, Fanta, Sprite, Tropico, Minute Maid brands, according to the Belgium branch of Coca-Cola International Bottling and Distribution. So chlorate can be produced when chlorine-based disinfectants are used in water treatment and food processing. You can actually... oh my goodness, I just forgot what it is. Anyway, you can add a chemical to the water to remove the chloride. It causes a chemical reaction and drops it out. So independent expert analysis concluded that any associated risk for consumers is very low. You'd have to drink a ton of it. So if we identify any unsafe food, we take action to ensure it's removed and alert consumers. Exposure to high levels of chlorate can cause health problems, including thyroid problems among children and infants, and anybody that's immunocompromised or sensitive to it could actually befall illness. But it says here, chlorate's effects on humans when taken in excess include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, limiting the blood's ability to absorb oxygen. Citing recent research into the chemical. But yeah, you want to avoid it. If you really want to avoid it, then you run it through a reverse osmosis system and clear out everything, and then you can add your own salts back to it and other minerals. There are actually systems out there that will do it for you, but it consumes twice as much water, and you get half as much out of the tap if you use reverse osmosis. It's always pouring some water down the drain, so to speak. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Historic wooden shipwreck appears on beach and then disappears days later. A research team was dispatched to examine the wreck after members of the public reported the discovery, but then it could not be found. Y'all move too slow. This article has a video that doesn't make any sense. They're talking about where the Titanic wreck is located. No, just no. Anyway, the article is over at Newsweek. See, they have to have a video that is even tenuously at best attached to the topic. But here we are. Aristos Georgiou put the article together. People walking along a beach came across the remains of the ship and reported the local find to historian Gunther Schroeder, who then passed the information on to the Schleswig-Holstein State Archaeological Office. And then on January 20th, a team from the state traveled to the island, an island near Rantum, a village on the island of Sylt, which lies just off the coast of mainland Germany in the North Sea. So literally that boat has been just chilling there. Get it? North Sea. It's very cold. Anyway, due to the tidal conditions of the area, the team had to wait for a suitable window of time to carry out their work. Photos were taken of the site before the disappearance, however, have provided some insights into the ship. Time to go diving. Dun dun. There's the shipwreck. Oh, wait, that's a different one. That one's from 2016. But they'll find things like this from time to time. They sink. They get covered up with silt, dirt, beach sand, and they decompose from time to time, but the sand, if it gets covered quick enough, it will keep it safer. So the Schleswig-Holstein State Archaeological Office has urged members of the public to contact if anyone observes the wreck again. They could send divers, but that's really expensive. In that water, they probably need a freaking dry suit. Anyway, the latter vessel ran aground in the 19th century. This one off of says in 2016 a wreck washed up on Hornum Odd on the island of Sylt, for example, and the wreck was of the Ulpiano, a Spanish bark, is also well known. The latter vessel ran aground in the 19th century on the small German island of Suderusand in the Wadden Sea. And some people believe that pirates love the sea, but really, they prefer the R. Anyway, some people say R, but anyway. The next article's over in Hatch Ideas. A company is giving away $10,000 every second during the final 2 minutes of the Super Bowl. Rewards app Fetch. You're never going to make it happen. Will distribute $1.2 million to 120 people in a first-of-its-kind live stream. So Aaron Davis over at entrepreneur.com put the article together. 120 people will each get $10,000. One winner selected every second of the remaining 2 minutes of regulation time. Fetch says that it is the biggest giveaway, live stream giveaway associated with an official big game advertisement on a Sunday in February during a blue moon while the East Coast is frozen over. Just got to be more precise until it actually is something really big. Come on, it's 120 people getting $10,000. Anyway, Super Bowl airs February 9th and will feature the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, but we're not allowed to talk about it. So this is now in reference to the superb owl named Kansas and its mate, Phila. Anywho, let's move on. Next article is over on the Mobile Channel. This man was born to save spiders and has over 1,000 tarantulas. Ugh. And need to take some medicine if you have 1,000 tarantulas. Sounds like a condition. But anyway, no. Some people really dig tarantulas. 37-year-old from South Gloucester. Began collecting the creepy crawlies in 2021 after being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I guess that's their comfort animal. I don't know. When doctors suggested a hobby might benefit his mental health, Phoenix recalled a pet tarantula he'd had as a teenager, and now 1,000 spiders later turned bipolar disorder into maybe something else. I don't know. He says he feels he was born to save the arachnids. The article is over at Vice.com, which is kind of an apropos name, I suppose. And Meredith Kyle put the article together. Pardon me 1 second. So that is to say he lives, real-life Spider-Man lives with 1,000 tarantulas. Now 1,000 spiders later, there's an article being written about him, at least one. Aaron Phoenix amassed his collection of over 1,000 tarantulas by breeding and rescuing the arachnids. They get messages all the time from people who have had large collections who want to downsize or fallen out of love with the hobby. He shares with SWNS, which is, I don't know. I don't know what SWNS is. It doesn't actually break it out here, but it links to a NewYorkPost.com website. So I don't know. So they apparently had already gone viral for the collection, it says in the article. And Phoenix found another use for the arachnids. He travels around the country helping people face and conquer their fear of the creepy crawlies. I used virtual reality a long time ago to facilitate that, but hey, everybody's a little different. What a difference a year makes. They celebrated another year at his store, A House of 1,000 Inverts, with a heartfelt Instagram post. Over the moon with how far they have come. Dun, dun, dun. So there's more over at this article. You can go and check it out. It's over at Vice.com. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. NASA tracking a bus-sized asteroid approaching Earth at 30,000 miles per hour. 2025 BS4. Yeah, there's a lot of BS for 2025 going around. Maybe anywhere between 17 and 40 feet across. and will approach at about twice the distance between Earth and the moon. The article here is written by Jess Thompson over at Newsweek.com. And so, yeah, I love how we're supposed to know that a school bus, they don't say if it's a normal, average, everyday bus, or if it's a short bus, or if it's some modified bus, but hey, it's a bus. So we have some idea of what it really is. Asteroids in our system are mostly found in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Occasionally, interactions with the gravity of the planets can cause an asteroid to be ejected from this reservoir, zooming into the inner solar system and in the vicinity of Earth. They say it's three-dimensional. What, space is three-dimensional? That is not what I get from Star Trek and Star Wars. It's linear, and you can put horses on the outside of starships. Anyway, whilst there's a huge number of comets and asteroids out there, most of them move on orbits that don't perfectly intersect with that of Earth. Even when they do cross our orbit in terms of distance to the sun, they usually pass harmlessly well above or below. This one's hurtling towards us, 30,000 miles per hour apparently. Due to its proximity to the Earth, 2025 BS4 is classified as a NEO, a near-Earth object, which are defined as objects that come within 120 million miles of the Sun or 30 million miles of Earth. Yikes. Anyway, get something to eat. You won't know it if this hits Earth. Who knows what kind of damage it'll do. Maybe we'll just, I don't know. Trying to come up with something funny about this, but I'm lost. Let's go. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel, which is all about business transformation. A French winemaker whose wines are illegal in his home country, Maxime Chapoutier, makes wines that combine French and Australian grapes, a strict no-no in the EU. Will Small over at bbc.com put this article together. There's no deck statement, but winemaker Maxime Chapoutier, there we go. I'll correct myself, Chapoutier, would be arrested if he tried to sell two of his newest wines in his native France, and they're likely be outraged about these wines in France, and that would be a good thing. Sometimes you need to be provocative to drive change. Under both French and European Union law, it's forbidden to make a wine that combines EU and non-EU fruit. In France, in particular, authorities take such things very seriously. Add a strict appellation or classification system to France's wine regions, and the thought of blending French and Australian wine to create a global hybrid would horrify many French wine lovers. You know what? Send me a couple of bottles. Maybe I can get them sent here. I don't know if they're already here, but we'll see. Maxime has created the wines in partnership with the UK online retailer, the Wine Society, where they call Hemispheres Red and Hemispheres White. The red is made from Syrah grapes, or Shiraz as they're called in Australia, while the white is a blend of Marsanne and Viognier, I guess? Voinier varieties, which I don't recall that, but I'm not a connoisseur of fine wines. I like beer and other spirits, but I like a good wine from time to time. And believe me, we've been hearing some whining. Anyway, we need to adapt for consumers and make wines more accessible, which international blends can help do. Maybe the EU law will change. It's more ecological to ship wines from Australia to Europe in bulk, as you don't have the weight of all the glass bottles, it says. So maybe they can fill it there. That's actually some of the problem sometimes, is they want something domestic and not just something that takes money from the system and deposits it outside of the EU or wherever. A lot of countries do that, where they want something produced in country to add value to the local economy or domestic economy. So Penfolds refers to these blends as wines of the world and says that they possess an otherness that can be best described as worldly, whatever that's supposed to mean, says the author. Anyway, go and check this out. Will Small over at bbc.com. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Last 4 escaped monkeys are captured in South Carolina after months on the loose. Officials say that they've recaptured the final 4 monkeys who escaped 2 months ago from South Carolina. Dun dun dun. It's this weird compound in a tiny little town where they breed them for medical research, and they all escaped. 43 escaped. The rhesus macaque monkeys, all females, made a break for it after police said that an employee did not fully lock their enclosure at Alpha Genesis, a facility that breeds them for medical research, known to locals as the Monkey Farm. They were on the loose. The area saw its first snow in 7 years, accumulating up to 3 inches. The rhesus macaques made a break for it on November 6th and mostly hung around near the facility, and they're about the size of a cat, weighing roughly 7 pounds. It appears the worker unintentionally left the gates unlocked when the monkey escaped, Westergaard said in November. Workers were supposed to lock and latch one gate before opening another, but all 3 gates and latches were left unsecure. Duh. This is how something Planet of the Apes happens. All right, let's keep going. Next article is over in the Mobile channel. I'm going to make these next 3 really quick. We have 2 left, but that last one was pretty quick, and I'll make these next 2 really quick. British Museum partly closed as sacked worker shuts system. So British Museum said that it's been forced to close some of its galleries after an IT contractor trespassed into the museum and shut down several of our systems. You fire me, I'm taking my passwords with me. So the museum said, the museum, one of the UK's capital's biggest tourist draws and best known for housing the Rosetta Stone. And there are many, actually, of these little translational stones, but the one that's referred to as the Rosetta Stone is of particular interest. And the Parthenon marbles, said police had arrested the suspect. An IT contractor who was dismissed last week trespassed into the museum and shut down several of their systems. We're working hard to get the museum back to being fully operational, but with regret, our temporary exhibitions have been closed today and will remain so over the weekend. So a message on the museum's website stated that it was open, but due to an IT infrastructure issue, some galleries have had to be closed. So capacity is limited. About 1,800 objects were disclosed as missing or stolen in August of 2023. We actually talked about them. We aggregated some of the news regarding this. Hundreds of items have since been recovered. Following a furor around the scandal, Hartwig Fischer, the director of the museum at the time, resigned after a temporary head was appointed. Nicholas Cullinan, who was previously in charge of the National Portrait Gallery, took over the role last year. Dun, dun, dun. But no arrest regarding those missing objects has been reported. And finally, the next article, and our last one for the January 27th episode of Non Sequitur News, RealityHacker is where it's housed. It's one of our weekly shows. George R.R. Martin co-authored a scientific paper, and they say, okay, cool. Now finish The Winds of Winter. The article is over at Wired.com. It's written by Jennifer Oliette from Ars Technica, but published over at Wired.com. And it says here, although fans of A Song of Ice and Fire might still be hankering for the long-delayed book in the series, best-selling sci-fi author George R.R. Martin has instead added a different item to his long list of publications, a peer-reviewed physics paper just published in the American Journal of Physics that he co-authored. The paper derives a formula to describe the dynamics of a fictional virus that is the centerpiece of the Wildcards series of books, a shared universe edited by Martin and Melinda M. Snodgrass, with some 44 authors contributing. Wildcards grew out of the Superworld RPG, specifically a long-running campaign game mastered by Martin in the 1980s, with several of the original sci-fi writers who contributed to the series participating. A then unknown Neil Gaiman once pitched Martin a Wildcard story involving a main character who lived in a world of dreams. Martin rejected the pitch. Gaiman's idea became The Sandman, of which I have a hardbound version, And now I'm not sure what to do with it, because some people can distance a bad actor from their works. I have a hard time, at least in the modern age. Cultural relativism aside, things like H.P. Lovecraft, the culture of the time was basically what H.P. Lovecraft was immersed in and wallowing around in. And it's not like that now. Well, anyway, and so you can read H.P. Lovecraft horror and realize a lot of the context is cultural and temporal, and you just say, I will never allow that to happen again. Not everybody can do that. Anyway, the series is basically an alternate history of the U.S. in the aftermath of World War II. An airborne alien virus designed to rewrite DNA had been released over New York City in 1946 and spread globally, infecting tens of thousands worldwide. It's called the wild virus because it affects everyone individually different. Every individual differently. It kills 90% of those it infects and mutates the rest. It's an interesting premise. I've got a storybook world called Aerith that has no alien virus, but has the same core premise of 90% of the population being wiped out, and effects coming on the heels of that. So, and that's actually one of the channels here, Aerith, a storybook world where if you want to write in it, you actually get a world within the omniverse of Aerith. But more on that some other time. Anyway, a physicist walks into a fictional universe. They talk about this virus and how it spreads and whatnot. So being a theoretician, they couldn't help but wonder if a simple underlying model might tidy up the canon. Like any physicist, they started with back-of-the-envelope estimates, but then they went off the deep end, eventually suggested only half-jokingly that it might be easier to write a genuine physics paper than another blog post. So they worked with R.R. Martin to write the paper. Demonstrate the wide-ranging flexibility and utility of physics concepts by converting this vague and seemingly unapproachable problem into a straightforward dynamic system, thereby putting a wealth of conceptual and mathematical tools at students' disposal. Very interesting. There's more of this article over at Wired.com, as well as originally appearing over at Ars Technica earlier this month. Anyway, pretty cool. I might end up reading this just so that I'm more actually interested in the Wildcard series of books, but I've never read them. At any rate, we are going to close the books on our episode today, and that's going to snap us back in time to January 27th, front page of ohmtown.com, so you can go over there and check it all out. And I'm going to say, see you later. I am Merwad. I run ohmtown.com, and I hope to see you there and here on Twitch and over on YouTube and the podcast. There's 1,700 episodes over on YouTube and the podcast. There are 7 podcasts, 6 of which are weekly, 1 of which is daily, Non Sequitur News. That's this. I couldn't make it yesterday to do the episode on time. I may not be able to do tonight's either, but we shall see. Mayoral duties abound. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow or the day after, before yesterday. Time stuff. It's just kind of confusing. So, bye-bye.